we are live. Let me set something. Let's see. I can try setting this up. Probably should do this once. I'm just setting this up and testing a few things, but if you're on, shoot me a question. Sorry. Hey, is it Jorge? How's it going? I just decided to come online. Haven't made a video in a while because I've been making this course, and came into my office this on the weekend and trying to set some things up so there's a little bit more lighting. But how's everyone going? How's the weekend going? Submit it in the chat. Let me know where you're from, where you're listening in. Let's see. Sorry, I'm trying to do too many things at once. I'm trying to raise this tripod up. There we go. Hey, Brandon, what's happening? You're at work? That's cool. I appreciate. Must be getting a lot of work done as you're sitting there watching the live stream. Do you guys have any questions you want answered? I'm here. I'll answer some questions. I've got a little bit of time before I have to go pick up my daughter. So I figured, why not come online, say hello? It's been a while, so. Let me see if this lighting will work. Let's see. Trying to be all professional here. Let's see. That might be a little bit better. But yeah, this is the other side of the studio. I can show you guys if you're looking. So here, let's see. There's this backdrop that I normally do. And then my office is through there. I don't know if you can kind of see that through there. And that's my other area of my office. So it's kind of cool. I get to, come in when I want, do the videos as I want. But if you guys have questions, let me know. I'd love to chat and see what everyone's doing. Yeah, I haven't, as I said, I haven't been able to make new videos right now because I'm concentrating on my course. And if you guys have any interest in doing that and going through the course, let me know. I'll respond. I'll let you know what it's about. It's a pretty intensive thing. It's going to be live with me privately with a group of, it's a group of people, but private for 8 weeks. And so I'm looking forward to that. I've been working really, really hard on that. And I'm excited to launch it. So you've probably seen some notifications and things come in, but yeah, that's been really, really cool and a lot of work. So that's the part where, as you guys know, when you're a father, there's always too much stuff to be doing. And that's kind of the thing I have to look at too, is that I produce all this content and, helping other people and do this, but I've got kids too. So like it's a Sunday. Actually, one of my kids is at their friend's house, and the other one was playing with their friends. So I was like, okay, well, they're not going to hang out with me. I asked them a bunch of stuff that they wanted to do, and they had other plans. So, but that's kind of the thing too, is that you got to manage that. You've got to be able to manage, the stuff that you want to do on your own, and then also spending time with your children and spending time with your significant other. So. I don't know if is the lighting okay? Respond if the lighting's okay. I can switch it up. I don't want to blind anybody. If you guys have questions, shoot them over. I'm happy to answer. Just hanging out. Let me know what you're up to, where you're watching from too. That's the other thing. So here's a question. My daughter will be born via surrogacy. Question, when do I start telling her that she is a surrogate child? I don't have specific experience in that. I would imagine that the surrogacy company or the doctors that you're dealing with might have some recommendations for that. I think everything, though, whatever it is, it doesn't matter whether somebody was adopted at surrogacy or you're talking about some subject matter. It's all like context of what they understand. Some people, it's interesting. Some people like to not say anything and just like keep things private and say, oh, well, it's better for them if they don't know. I don't know the psychology of that. I think that there are probably special ways of discussing it, and especially when they're younger, of just in ways that saying, hey, this is how it works. But the truth is that kids don't really understand for a while. And so I think you have plenty of time. But I would say that maybe to seek out experts in that area, and because there might be specific communication that you could do where you're talking about, they're still going to call mom and dad. So I don't know that I can. It's a tough question because I don't have experience in that area. I just know that in general, as a general rule for my kids, we try to explain things to them, like regardless. We try to be honest with them, but it's limited based on the fact of how old they are. So, we talk about drugs and alcohol, we talk about sex, we talk about all kinds of things. But the amount that you divulge varies based on their capacity and ability to do it. So, I'm not giving my kids a ton of detail about sex, but they're 10 and 12, and so we have to have those conversations and we have to be honest about it. So I would say maybe talk with experts and see if that's the case. Sorry, I can't be more information. Thanks for the Marvel Fam Web. Thanks for being a sub. I appreciate everybody hanging out. And so Aftab says, I have a 5-year-old I have a 5-day-old baby girl. Any tips how I can help mom during midnight feedings? So here's a question is, does your wife want you to help? Because the best answer would be is to ask her. Ask her if you can help or what she would want from you to help. So I'll give you 2 different scenarios. So when our first child was born, well, actually, this was our first child. My mother, who was an expert in relationships and such, had a conversation with myself and my wife. And it was a question of my wife being okay with me sleeping or not. And so I was working full time, my wife was not. And so for us, it didn't make sense for me to get up in the middle of the night and feed and help feed the child when my wife was breastfeeding or doing whatever and preparing, because then both of us are zombies. So what my suggestion would be is first talk to your wife or significant other about what it is that they need, and you make that decision together. So it's not necessarily what can you do to help, but it's really is what is it she needs. Because for some people, it might say, you know what, I've got those feedings these days, but you know what, the other day I want you to take a bottle, or guess what, late in the morning on Saturdays and Sundays, like she needs to sleep in so she can catch up on some of her sleep. And so you take the baby and you do that. So I don't think there's a one size fits all. God, this lighting's horrible. I'm getting flickering. Let me see. How's that? Nope, that's bad too. Wow. Let's see. Sorry. I just keep seeing things flicker and it's adjusting, and I don't like that. So let's see if we go over here. Not that it really matters when I'm doing a live stream, but so as far as getting back to where I was, the important thing is that she feels good about what's happening. I hope that answers the question, but the problem is that every situation's different. So as far as what can you do to help her, it's really depends on what she needs. Like I said, my wife, we just agreed that she is going to, she feeds, she got up, she was breastfeeding, but then on the weekend she was like, hey, can you take the baby and let me sleep in? And so that worked for her. And so she loved those weekend mornings where she was able to sleep in late and just get enough, get a little bit extra sleep. So I think everyone is different, and just communicate that with her. Yeah, so Ken, you've asking about the pandemic and being a little stressed out, being she's pregnant, kind of overprotective. Yeah, you just want to be careful, you're not calling her out as being overprotective to her, because she's high risk and I don't want her to get sick. Yeah, that's really difficult with everybody who's like going through that stuff. And, I've talked to a couple guys who have had deliveries and they weren't necessarily allowed. I think you got to focus in on the positive, try to be grateful, the fact that you have a child on the way. And as far as how you maybe can support her is just being empathetic, and just, being empathetic means like, you don't have to be stressed out, but you can say, you know what, honey, I can understand that, you're stressed out about this. And, is there anything I can do for you? And that's all you can really do. You could just be there and be supportive. Try to put yourself in her situation and just ask and say, hey, is there anything I can do to maybe, make you feel a little bit less stressed? And, here's the thing about stress. We'll go off to a tangent, is because I have this issue personally, and I talk about it a lot, is that stress is self-induced. We make we say that the stress is because of some situation. So it's because of the pandemic, or it's because, I'm hurting financially, or it's because this person did this to me. But the truth is that stress is self-induced. We make the decision that we're going to be stressed, and we have the power to make that decision differently. Whereas, like, as an example with the pandemic, there are pregnant women who aren't being stressed out. And so because they are making that choice. Now, I'm not saying this is easy. I'm not saying that this is something, that's very easy to overcome. But I have a couple videos about that, of just, talking about how it is a choice. And you can do some things and you can practice so that you're not as stressed out. I work out in the mornings, I meditate, I do gratitude, or whatever it is that you need to do to try to be less stressed. Stress and anxiety is worrying about the future. Being depressed is worrying about the past. In either one of those cases, it's not helping you. Worrying about the past and worrying about the future doesn't help. So part of it is living in the present moment. And, that's hard to say to somebody else, who's dealing with stuff, but, you just try to be empathetic and try to be there for her. And I think that'll go a long way. So, let's see. The Marvel fam, talking about anxiety and Tourette's and stuff, I would suggest going to see a professional, whether that's a counselor or a doctor, if you aren't already. That's more of a medical situation that I'm not qualified for. I certainly, as far as reducing anxiety, sure, there are some techniques. Some people, report to me that they have it so bad that even the techniques that they're doing and listening to the videos, it's like it's not enough. And so I think in those cases, you might need to go see a doctor. You don't want to pretend that you can always do it yourself, or that you can solve the problems yourself. I myself have gone to seek counselors, I've gone to seek experts, I've gone to seek whoever. Whatever it is that you need to try and get yourself better, you want to do it. That's the key. And it's, whether it's for yourself or your children or your family, there's no shame in that. It's just try to get the help that you need and see, you try different things. When I was younger, probably in my mid-20s, I had real severe anxieties, and I ended up doing nutrition and acupuncture and meditation and yoga, and like I just every single thing that I could do. Hey Ryan, awesome, from the UK. Glad you're enjoying the content. Yeah, it's so guys, if you have any questions, I'll be on here for a little bit. Let's see. Before I have to go pick up my daughter, I said I'd just come to my office. So let me see what else we got here. You guys are awesome. So glad that everyone's enjoying this. If you haven't seen that I do, I am offering I call it a program course, whatever you want to do it. And this is going to be working with me individually for 8 weeks. There is a significant investment, but if it is something where you feel like you want to further your parenting, gain more confidence, we're talking about every major thing that's important in parenting and yourself and your relationship over this course of those 8 weeks, and going to have a private area where we have our own discussions and live Q&A and such. And so it's a great resource for people. So if you are interested, just put a comment down and I'll be sure to reply with the information of where you can find out more. Ryan just asked, any tips for the first month with a newborn? Yeah, there's a lot actually, Ryan. I have quite a few videos about sort of like, the first, when you bring the baby home and such. Don't have a lot of expectations. I was just talking to a guy who his baby's a couple weeks old, and he felt like he was going to be, happier than he is. And I will tell you that it took a while for me to bond with the baby. So in the beginning, when you first bring a baby home and, let's call it the first month, 2 or so, you can't have a lot of expectations that you're going to like feel an amazing bond with this baby. It doesn't give you much feedback either. So, the baby's not, when they're in this initial stage, like they're not smiling yet, they're not laughing yet, they're not reacting to you. And so, it's just not as fulfilling. Whereas, the mom sometimes feels a little bit more emotional connection. She carried the child. She's maybe even breastfeeding the child. There is a larger connection there than with the dad. So, so I think, yeah, go back. If you go to my videos, there's the one when you bring home the baby from the hospital, and then a couple of other new dad tips. Just look over there. And but those are some of the major ones. And then the other is just supporting her, understanding that this is not an easy thing, and everything's new. Be open to learning new things. So that's what this channel really is everything on the channel. So I can't necessarily narrow it down. Bluetooth, and we can't complain at all. He's doing good in sleep at night, except for right at this moment. Well, I can't necessarily, there's more context to that, but yeah, I mean, your routine is tough, when you have a new child, everything is brand new. Realize that everybody goes through the same things, and, watching these videos hopefully will help. But there's a lot of different scenarios that can come up, and, you don't necessarily always have an answer. I will say that too, is like, I don't have an answer on every single situation. It's a lot of the things that I answer or that I talk about are things that, one, I've had experience with, or two, I've talked to enough people to feel comfortable having, giving that advice. As an example earlier, somebody talking about surrogacy, I personally don't have experience in that area, so I'm hesitant to provide it. Now, I can provide an opinion, but an opinion without experience isn't really that valuable. So, which everyone loves to do that anyway. So if you're just joining us, let me know where you're from, where you're tuning in from. Tuning in, it's like a TV, I guess. And any questions that you might have. Let's see. What I just watched my wife and I watched the social, what was it? The Social Experiment? What was that? I don't even know now the name. It's on Netflix. It's about social media. I can't think of the name. But it is so disturbing, I guess is the word. I've always had an aversion towards social media for that reason of privacy, just not feeling comfortable with my children and the safety and the data and everything else. And it's difficult because we live in this world. My business, I also do internet marketing, so I'm very familiar with it. But then also Dad University, I rely on those networks for a fan base. And so there's a balance. But there is a balance when it comes to the business and when it comes to the personal life. And I'm not a big fan of, if you've watched some of my videos on parenting or, parents posting, I'm not a big fan of divulging your personal life on social media. It's not something that I enjoy or that I think is a good idea. So, let me see here. K9196. My 6-month-old takes naps when I'm watching him. I'm currently out of town of work, and the little guy refuses to nap. Is this a function of age or my being gone? Well, that's a good question. I don't know if it had happened before. It would be weird. It'd be a little strange that he senses that you're gone, and as a result of that, doesn't want to nap unless there's some sort of comforting thing. The only thing else I can think of, though, is that maybe that there's some sort of routine that you do. And that's why he naps, is like, if you're comforting him in a certain way, then that could certainly be. But no, naps get broken up quite frequently. In other words, like you'll have a 3, 4, 5, 6-month-old, whatever, and they nap every day at 2:00. And then all of a sudden that changes. It's not consistent like that. And it's not clockwork. They change all the time. And I remember with my children, it's like my wife was trying to be on a really, really good schedule. And, we had like 10 and 2:00 were naps, 10 and 2, and then all of a sudden, like he wouldn't sleep at 10:00. And we're like, what the heck? So we had to give up that nap and then change the time on the other nap. And, it's easy for me to say now because I'm not there, but you can't, you said, I do try to keep a routine. She may not do this as much. Yeah, I would probably say that that's more inclined of it, is that the child is into routine, and routines are great. That's something that we did with our children, and it worked really well, where we say, okay, now is bath time. After bath, we get on our pajamas. After the pajamas, we brush our teeth. And after brush our teeth, we read a story. And then after we read a story, we thank everybody in our family and say who we love, and then we go to sleep. And whatever it is you just do this same thing all the time, every day. And I joke with my kids now that are 10 and 12, and they'll like be getting into bed. I'm like, hey, did you brush your teeth? And they'll be like, oh. I'm like, oh, that's right. We've only been doing this for 10 years, and we still forget to brush our teeth. So just remember, it keeps going even when they're older. It doesn't end. So let's see here. Clemente says, is it okay to make mistakes as a 23-year-old dad? I just feel so intimidated when I'm around my father. He feels like how I'm parenting is wrong, but I want to parent my kids in a different way. So he feels like your parenting is wrong. I'm curious, is that something that he has said to you, or it's something that you are perceiving? Not that necessarily matters, because the truth is that you get to parent the way that you want. It is your child, so you get to parent the way that you want. Grandparents, the other question you asked, is it okay to make mistakes? It's not only okay, it's going to happen. It's okay to make a mistake when you're a 40-year-old dad. It's okay to make mistakes. The key is to not keep making the same mistake. That's the key. And I have a couple videos on like the common mistakes that we do make. Parenting and mistakes go hand in hand. And that's what I always say. And if, making a mistake is not that big of a deal, you're not a terrible father, because everybody makes mistakes. The thing is that you want to be learning from those mistakes, and you just don't want to make mistakes that are, really impactful, like, safety and things like that. But as far as like, oh, you forgot to do this, or you're not doing this, or that's okay. You have an opportunity to learn, and that's what you want to do. As far as your father, so this is a pretty deep psychological thing of you wanting approval from your father. This is what I'm guessing in the 10 seconds that I have to read that. You have to get over that immediately. You have to realize that you don't need the approval of your father anymore. You didn't need it at the time either. But more importantly, you get to parent the way that you want to parent. And so if your dad has a problem with that, if your dad doesn't like the way you're doing that, that's his problem, actually, not yours. And so, if he has some good advice and you feel like you were parented really well, then you can listen to that and you can hear that and you could say, here's a really good thing to say when somebody gives you their opinion or tells you what to do. You say, you know what, I'll take that into consideration. That's it. You say, I'll take that into consideration. You're not saying I'm going to have to do it, or how dare you say that, or whatever. You just say, I'll take that into consideration. And that's a way to, have them be quiet. Like, thank you for your opinion. So I'd be curious if your dad is really actually saying that he has a problem with your parenting, or he's just, trying to assert his, dominance and control and everything else. And you basically have to just be like, I'm done with it. We can still have a relationship. You can still be loving. You can still have whatever, but it's your child. You get to make that decision. That's not your father's decisions of anymore. Your father got to make the decisions with you when you were young. And then as you became an adult, you get to make those decisions on your own, and you get to live with the consequences on your own. So, if you're parenting in a way that you are not confident of, then you might want to gain more confidence in your parenting. And that is watching videos, taking courses, doing things, reading, do things to improve your confidence. But you don't have to listen to other people. Even myself, I'm giving out advice and people can choose whether they like my advice or not. That's okay. I'm okay. People argue all the time with me. I get people, that will sit there and comment and argue with what I'm talking about and debate, and that's fine. Like, it doesn't bother me at all. I'm not somebody who gets upset because somebody doesn't like my opinion or somebody doesn't like my advice. That's the thing, is I'm putting it out there. I get to do that. It's my channel. If they don't like it, that's okay. They don't have to deal with it. They don't have to follow it, and they don't have to listen to it. So it's kind of funny. People get very offended. Now, I will say that this has taken me a long time because I've built those muscles up of just having a thicker skin and then just not really paying attention to that. People have criticized everything. Especially when you put yourself online, people will criticize the way that I talk, the way that I look, the advice that I'm giving, everything. And they're going to do the same thing for you as a parent. Who cares? None of it matters. None of it matters. What I care about is my family. I care about serving the community and giving information that if people want to take it, they absolutely can take it. And I hope that they do, and it's beneficial. But if they don't like my advice, then that's okay. I'm not going to let someone upset my day because they don't like my advice, or they don't like what I'm saying, or they think that I'm funny. The way that I talk, or, I've had all kinds of criticisms, but that's part of being online. That's part of it. You can hide in a hole and, not worry about it, but that's not very fun. So. Oh, Clemente from Orange County. I was born and raised in Orange County, California. Awesome. That's cool. And then I moved to Arizona for school and then came down to San Diego. But that was awesome. Let's see. I'm trying to read all this. Okay, so there's a little more clarity, Clemente. Let me then, hopefully you're still here. He says, I have a 1-year-old and a 6-year-old, and I feel like every time they visit Grandpa, he brings up a lot of my parenting mistakes. I'm working only one job, but trying to be as present as I can be. So there's a couple ways you can handle this. It depends if your dad is willing to listen or not. Most likely, because most grandparents aren't. That you just have to let them do what they do and realize that it really isn't a reflection of anything that you do or not. When someone is critical of somebody else, it's their problem. It's issues that they have. It's insecurities that they have. If you look at the top gurus in the world, and these are, whether they're spiritual people, whether they are motivational, whatever, they don't criticize other people. And when people criticize them, they don't care. It's something where you have to realize that they are the ones dealing with something that causes them to have to criticize you. Now, the other side of the coin is that there might be some things, parenting-wise, that maybe you could grow from, that maybe you could look at in a different way. Now, I don't know the situation, but maybe your father is a really good father and brought you up well, and maybe some of his ideas are good. I don't know. So you could also just listen. It doesn't mean you have to do it, but you could also have that conversation man to man and say, hey, Dad, listen, I appreciate the fact that you want my kids, or that he watches the kids, or that he goes over and that he's involved with them. But what I don't appreciate is you criticizing my parenting. If you have some suggestions or you want to talk about different things about parenting, then okay, let's talk about it. But don't criticize me, and certainly not in front of my children, or tell me that I'm a bad parent, because I'm not. I'm a good parent. I love my kids, etc. So you have to actually, even if you're not inside, you have to gain more confidence. And that confidence is going to be really valuable. And that comes over time, but you have to stop living under the thumb of your father and realize that you're your own man, you've got your own family now, and quite frankly, what happens a lot, and I wish it didn't, but grandparents are so critical often that they end up losing some of the relationship with the children and the grandchildren. So because the grandparents are so overbearing, their children don't want to bring the grandchildren over to their house or have them around or whatever. And it's unfortunate, because obviously it's great to have those multi-generational things. So sometimes you got to lay some ground rules and just say, hey, Dad, listen, I don't want to come over here if you are going to be critical of me and my children. That's it. You don't want to start World War III, but at the same time, you've got to stick up for yourself. So, shoot me an email. Go to our website if you want to talk a little bit further about it, because I think this is an important subject. Shoot me an email, and I'll talk briefly about it, and we can have a conversation. I think this is an important one that you can get over, and the fact that you're from Orange County is a bonus. So hopefully that helps. It's hard to help everybody in just a small amount of time, but so K9196 says, for fathers, God, this chat. For fathers like myself who work away from home for an extended period of time, at what point does my son start to forget me or have to relearn who I am when we are together again? That does happen. I think it's up to your significant other to connect you and make sure it's pictures of you, it's videos of you, depending on how long you're gone. Maybe you can do live chat, do live interaction, FaceTime or Zoom or other things. There are some things that you can do to just make sure you're keeping that connection. And I would make the most effort that you can to do that. If you are able to, depending on where you are and what you're doing, if you're gone for a long period of time and you don't have that ability. If it isn't, then maybe you can record some things before you leave, and just record it for your child and saying, like a bunch of videos that just says, I love you, I can't wait to, be with you again. You could also do those things and talk with your significant other about it and saying like, hey, you want to make sure that your child just, remembers and has vivid things but that is hard. I get it. It's hard to be away from your children for a long period of time. So you just got to be really present when you're there. I will say, and this helps hopefully, is that with children, granted when they're young, sometimes it is the amount of time, but in general, with children, it's the quality of the time, not the quantity of the time. And what you want to make sure is that the time that you are home, you just want to make sure that that's really good quality time. I'll give you an example. I was talking to a gentleman, and I've told this story on one of my videos, that he's an adult now, and he spent summer for like 2 weeks out of the entire year. He saw his dad. His parents were divorced when he was very, very young. So he only saw his dad maybe 2 weeks a year. He said that those 2 weeks were most of the time the best 2 weeks he'd have all year. So he would be with his dad only 2 weeks. And, for whatever reason, across the country, whatever, all growing up. But he'd get to spend these 2 weeks with his dad. And his dad would take off work. His dad would be 100% present. They would do a bunch of things. They would have deep conversation. He said he has such a close relationship with his father. I didn't ask about the mom. But he has such a close relationship with his father. And he said because his father made so much effort to make sure that those 2 weeks were just really, really connected. And he said as an adult, he has a wonderful relationship with his father. And he said he doesn't think any less of him. He doesn't think anything. He has a great relationship now, and he actually lives closer to him. So he gets to see them. They spend time together. They go out. So the quality of the time is really, really important. I know when a child is young, it feels like there's a lot of guilt because you feel, whether it's your spouse or whatever is, watching the child and you're not there. But just make sure that the time you do have is real quality, and I think you'll be okay. But also record videos and get pictures and talk to your spouse about that, saying like, hey, I just want to make sure that when I'm gone, our child really has a chance to interact with me, or at least not forget me. So that'll be important. Hopefully that was good. I don't know. It's hard to. So Ryan asked, first baby due end of January. Any thoughts on long to take off work, as my wife will be on maternity leave and I am the main earner? Yes. So I have 2 different videos, and I want to search them out. These are videos on our YouTube channel. They're on paternity leave. And so I made a video about paternity leave. And I said in that video, hey, take the time off. It's the only chance you're going to get. I was very adamant about it. I didn't say like how much, but like you have to take that time off. That's the time that you have with the baby, whatever. But very interestingly, I got some feedback on that video. And there was a gentleman I had a conversation with that said he took off like 7 or 8 months per child. And I forget where he was located. I want to say Canada. But he took off per child. He was able to do it financially, whatever. But he said it was a bad decision. He had 3 children and he did it 3 times. And he said if he was to go back now, he would do it over. So what I then had to realize is that what I was saying is not for everybody. I do think that there are, when a child is first born, there is something about taking that time to appreciate the newness and to appreciate the time. However, not everybody is in that financial situation. And so, do I think it's a requirement? After talking with many, many men, I don't think it is a requirement or it's something that you should feel guilty of if you can't do it. Everybody is different. I didn't take off a lot of time. I think I took off a week or two at the time because I ran my own business and I was swamped. I couldn't, I was like, just there was too many things going on. And the truth is, my wife was breastfeeding. The child wasn't very fulfilling when they were first born. So I think everybody is different. I think if it's something that for you, you want to feel that bond and you want to spend the time and you can financially afford it, then that's okay. Then that's great. Go for it. But if you are home and you are feeling horrible and guilty and financially strained and all of these things because you're not working, and maybe you even really enjoy work, then I don't know that that's the right decision for you. And you have to make that decision. No, nobody can make that decision for you. Now, there's some other things you might be able to do where it's somewhat of a hybrid. Maybe you are working a couple of less hours so you could come home early, or maybe you're taking a day or two off so that you can spend some time with them. Maybe there is some kind of hybrid that you could do. I think that, it depends on the flexibility of your employer or, the situation or the government or depending on where you are. But that could be another option. But you don't want to have your mind in other. And I knew for me at the time, I was an entrepreneur. I was starting a new business. I was doing all these things. If I took the time off and did no work, but was just concentrating on my child, I think it wouldn't have worked for me either at the time. Now might be a different story. But at the time, I was so focused on my work that I would have had anxiety about my job and about my clients and all this stuff. And that's not good because I'm not going to be in a good place for my child. So instead, I did some of my work, but then when I was done, I was so excited to spend time with my child. And so I would come home, we would do things in the evenings, or I'd do bath time, and then I would do, on the weekends, we'd spend the whole weekend with the child. And so I think that's an individual decision. And so while I am a proponent for paternity leave, if your company gives it to you and you're getting paid and there's not a financial strain and other things, then yeah, it's a great thing to be able to spend time with your children. On your deathbed, you're not going to say, oh, I should have spent more time at the office. You're going to say, oh, I wish I would have spent more time with my kids. But I don't know that that's the perfect decision for every person. So I think you need to make that decision. There's quite a few here. Hold on. Sorry. So Luke asks, I'm going to be a new father. And I'm really nervous about it. My question is, how do you overcome being scared? The quick answer is you don't. Being a new father is scary. That's it. I'm sorry that there's not a perfect answer, but a couple of things you can realize is that everybody is scared, and it's going to be okay. You're going to be okay. The child will be okay. Your significant other will be okay. But it is a scary thing. It's completely unknown. It's, this is something that you've never had before, and for me, I was petrified. I had no idea how to be around children. I didn't know how to change a diaper. I didn't know how to hold a baby. When I had my first kid, I didn't know any of these things. I wasn't around children at all. My only experience with a child was I have two sisters, and one of my sisters, I held their child briefly, and that was about it. I had never changed a diaper, never done anything. Never babysat, wasn't comfortable around children at all. So being scared is totally normal. And I don't think that there's so much to avoid it other than knowing that just things are going to be okay, and that, you can, and I think watching the videos and reading if you need to, and just realizing that that's what everybody goes through. I think so many people are scared and don't admit it. So it's good that you're admitting it. I think that that's a good thing. I have about 10, 15 minutes here before I have to go. So I think that that's a great thing that you admit it. And, but yeah, everybody is scared. It's just, that's part of being a father. And so I don't know if there's any like specific tricks or tips or anything, just, gaining knowledge and figure out, well, maybe there is. Okay, I just popped into my head. Just figure out what you are scared of and then attack that. So if you are scared of the unknown, well, then make the unknown a little bit more known. Learn about what it is to have a child and what a baby, what you deal with. If you're scared of like the relationship with your wife, or if you're scared that you're not going to have free time, if you're scared, identify what it is that you're scared about. What is it that you're scared? And most people are scared about the unknown. They're scared about the fact that they don't know what to expect. And that's totally normal. That's what causes anxiety is having the fear of the unknown or what's coming up soon. And so all you can do is just gain information, talk to other people, watch these videos, and hopefully you'll have a little bit more, confidence that, okay, now I remember, I'm going to go through this. Oh, I remember that, she's going to go through some difficult times after birth, or that I may not feel a bond with the baby, or, that this is going to be difficult with the sleep, or, all of that stuff. It's just, you reduce some of your anxiety and being scared by just informing yourself. So hopefully that helps. Awesome, Blockbuster. Glad the videos help. Bluetooth, the child is finally asleep. I love that you guys are also helping each other. So cool that people are answering other people's questions here. Abe, how's it going? Glad that you're enjoying the videos. That's awesome. I'm reading. I'm just trying to get here. Luke, yeah. So Luke, I have got podcasts. For those of you who don't know, too, Dad University has podcasts also. So I actually have been doing the podcast longer than I've been doing videos, and so I've got 275 podcasts or something like that, and then we have like about 160, 170 videos. So if you want, the podcasts are often similar. There's some similar subjects. There's some additional ones. But they're longer. It's a little bit longer discussion about things. So if you're into podcasting, check those out. You can find them on iTunes. Just look up Dad University. It's on iTunes and Stitcher and Spotify and all of them. It should be. In fact, we just landed on Amazon as well. I think Amazon's now doing it. So Sam asks, how do I set a bedtime for a 2-year-old? Great question. So I have a thing called nighttime routine. I have a video. It's called the nighttime routine. You might want to watch that. But basically, you set the time that you want to go to bed. And if you say, like, how do I set it? The earlier, the better. But let's say you pick a time, and it's going to be 7:30 at night, whatever. You then go backwards and figure out all the things that you need to do, and you set up a night routine. And that's the best way to do it with a child, especially a 2-year-old. So you know that it's going to take 15 minutes to read if you're reading at night. It's going to take another 15 minutes for bath. It's going to take another 5 minutes to get dressed. It's going to take another 3 minutes to brush teeth, whatever. So you start your routine at 6:30 and you say, okay, it's time to get going. And even better is what I talk about in the evening schedule is to make a chart. Even if they can't read, you can put pictures up and you literally make a schedule and a chart. It says 6:30, we're going to do, we're going to go up and take a bath. At 6:45, we're going to brush our teeth. At 7 o'clock, we're going to do this. At 7:30, we're going to do, and granted, you may not be able to stick to that exact time. I tried to. My wife is a little bit more flexible. I'm not. I like routine. I wake up at the same time every day, do the same thing every day, and I get stuff done. But you have to have some kind of schedule with a 2-year-old. And they thrive on routine as well. And so you make that routine and you make it work. But I can tell you that we've had a routine now for 10 and 12 years with my children, and sometimes that routine doesn't happen. Sometimes it takes longer than normal. They have a bedtime, and we say, okay, by this time we're going to be done. So I think that's how, and then also look at how long, you can look up on the internet too, is like how long a 2-year-old needs to sleep. I think it's, they should be sleeping 11 or something hours. So, you've got to think about what time do they need to get up in the morning. For a 2-year-old, they're probably not going to any school yet. So if the time's not important for them and you just let them sleep, that, okay, normally they get up at 6:30 in the morning, then you just go backwards and that 11 hours is 7:30 at night, and they should be in bed to sleep by 7:30. So you also know that if it takes them 15 minutes to fall asleep, that's okay. The other thing too is you don't have to be so strict about it, but like my kids still to this day, 10 and 12, not every night, but they like us hanging out with them before they go to sleep, rather than just, hey, good night, boom. Especially my daughter. My daughter likes to snuggle or likes to, just be there and talk and do whatever. And some nights that's hard. Some nights that is really hard because especially for me, a lot of the stuff that I do is after the kids go down, or, I've got other things I want to do and get done because I didn't get them done. And you're tired by the end of the day. And so sometimes you just want to sit and do nothing. So it's hard, and you've got to make that time. And sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. And so you can't be too hard on yourself either if it doesn't work out. So, let's see. I only got a couple minutes. I got to get going. There we go. So I had said before too, if any of you guys want more assistance, I am now doing a private course. This is going to be an 8-week course. It's an intensive. It's going to be live via Zoom. If you want more information, it's going to really improve your confidence. We talk about yourself, your relationship, all these things. If you're interested in doing that, reply on here or comment, just say interested, and I will send you the link to sign up and for a call, and we'll do a call and we can see if it's a good fit. There is an investment. It's working with me, but if it is something that you feel like you could use some more help and have a coach and have somebody along the way, it's going to really, really impact people. And so if that's something that you're interested, let me know. Other than that, it's good. I hope everybody has a wonderful Sunday. I can't believe that it's almost been an hour. That's crazy. It's been 53 minutes on live. Time goes by really fast when you're having fun. Thank you guys all for supporting the channel, subscribing. If you haven't, put a thumbs up on this, subscribe to the channel. You want to make sure you get notified. As I said in the beginning, I apologize even for not having brand new videos for a while right now, but I've been so concentrated on this course. I can't do it all. I've got a family too, and my kids and work and all these things. And so I haven't produced brand new videos. They will eventually come out, but this course is my priority right now. I've been wanting to do this for so long, and I have to focus. So I'm really, really excited about it because I think it's going to really, really help a lot of people transform. So it's intensive. It's got a lot of information, but it's going to be all the information that I wish I had when I, had like my toddlers, and just everything in parenting, from learning about empathy and discipline and gratitude and all of these subjects that are so important, to understanding your own emotions and your relationship and how to get the best out of that. And so it's something that I'm really, really excited about. So everybody, happy Sunday. It was great talking with you. And hopefully I'll be able to do another one of these chats soon. I enjoyed it, and we'll talk soon. Take care, guys.